good morning, good afternoon, and good evening at whatever time you're tuning in to Business Matters. My name is Laura Nowlin with CS Now Staffing, and our sponsor for the show is actually CS Now Staffing. So a big shout out to them at 702-902-2448. And today I have here a friend of mine. Her name is Lisa Bayardo. So thank you so much for joining our show. And she has Prime IV Hydration and Wellness. And you have two locations now. Wow, you go, girl.
Yeah, soon to be two.
Yeah, soon to be two.
Mhm.
Awesome. You'll tell us that story in a minute here. But first, Lisa, tell us a little bit about you. How did you get here to Vegas? Where are you originally from?
Vegas. So I am born and
Ah!
raised here. So I guess the more I tell the story, everyone's like, "Oh, you're one of the few." But
Yes.
no, born and raised here. My parents both. My mom came when she was a little baby. My dad came from Mexico when he was a teenager to Vegas. So me and my siblings are all from here. So this is kind of the city that I really know best. I did live a couple other places. I went to college in Hawaii for a year and a half. Senior year of high school, I moved to Northern Nevada, but I've pretty much just been here. And I love Las Vegas. I think it's an awesome city. It's a great family city, a great business city. I love Las Vegas. There's really nowhere else I could really live.
So in Hawaii, what did you study?
So right after high school, I went to Brigham Young University, Hawaii, and I was just doing my general classes. When you're trying to figure out what you're going to do with your life, what you're going to major in, and I loved it. It was a small college. It was smaller than I went to Palo Verde High School. It was smaller than Palo Verde High School. And I was like, I just got to pick a major that they offer here because I want to be here. But my plans changed because I ended up getting married, and my husband, who you previously interviewed, he was going to school here in Las Vegas because at the time, I don't think they do this anymore, the Millennium Scholarship, where if you graduated from a high school in the state of Nevada, you the state of Nevada was giving out scholarships to kids to stay and go to college here.
Wow.
So it was called the Millennium Scholarship. And actually the money came from when the state sued all these tobacco companies. So that's how they came across all these hundreds of millions. I know. And it was great. And I think it lasted for at least 10 years. I mean, a lot of kids really benefited from this program. And so he was like, I got to pay for school and I can only afford to do it in Nevada because I'm using the Millennium Scholarship. And I'm like, well, I guess I want to get married to you, so then I'll transfer over. And I ended up, we both are graduates from UNLV, used the Millennium Scholarship to help pay for school, debt-free, best thing ever. So that's kind of how I came back when I thought I would maybe live in Hawaii a little bit longer. But, plans change, life changes, and you just kind of got to roll with it.
So, you just mentioned that I had interviewed Paris. So we have his story of how he met you. What's your story? How did you guys meet?
So we did know each other in high school. I don't say we could call each other high school sweethearts because he's a couple years older. We did date when I was still in high school for a little bit.
Okay.
But it's one of those where I really, people say, I know the moment I met my husband. I can't tell you when I first met my husband. I don't know. I just knew who he was at school. We have a lot of mutual friends in common. And so over time, it was just when you have big groups of people hanging out together, and he was there, and I really don't know how. And we just, all of a sudden, I just realized he was cute, and we started dating. Oh, wow. And he had already graduated high school at this point, and he was going to go on his 2-year mission to Paraguay. And so long story short, we ended up riding as friends the whole time. He came back and I was in Hawaii, and I was younger. So marriage was not on my radar at all. And he came out and visited me, and we were doing long distance, and I didn't want to do long distance, but he told me, he goes, if we're not going to go forward, then I'm just going to find somebody else and get married to somebody else, and I'm going to find somebody to be with. And I was like, wait a minute. Okay, wait, what do I want to do? So, and I realized I want to be with this guy. I loved everything about him, his personality and just everything about him. It's like, that's what I want in life. That's what I want in a partner. And that's what I could see as, the future father of my children. Because I always knew I wanted a family. I always knew I wanted to get married. Obviously it came sooner than I expected, but I'm like, if this is what he's willing to do, and, I either go there with him or I find somebody else. And I just decided, okay, I guess that's the way life is going to be right now. And I chose that life, and I've loved it ever since.
How old were you when you guys got married?
I was 20.
So you were 20. Stephanie was 16.
Really?
And Elite 18. I almost
Really?
had a heart attack. Yes.
I got engaged at 19 and I stretched it out because I'm like, I'm not going to be a teen bride. So I was 20 in 7 days.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I could tell my children I was not a teenager when I got married. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely young.
Yes.
I mean, as a mother, I mean, now I'm looking at it as a mom perspective because I'm a mom now. Yeah.
But she is 6, 7, 8 years younger than my oldest. Okay.
Mhm.
And 3 years younger than my middle. But her maturity level
Oh, that makes a
was
difference.
big difference.
Yeah.
At 16, she was more like if she was in her 20s
Yeah.
mentally.
Yeah.
And so it was easier for her father and I to say, okay, we're going to allow them to get married. But one of the conditions was you couldn't drop out of school. You
Yeah.
had to graduate. So that means that you couldn't have a baby right away.
Right.
So she ended up graduating at 18, pregnant,
Really?
but they were already married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, so yes, young. Now they have 3 boys.
Mhm.
You have 4 kids.
I do. I have
So-
a daughter who's 13,
Mhm.
3 boys, 11, 9, and 7. And same thing. It just, I knew I wanted a big family. We both come from big families.
Mhm.
But you never know what life's going to throw at you until it happens. And I love it. I love that. Yes, I had 4 kids in 6 years. Yes, I changed diapers for 8 years straight. Yes, I was a stay-at-home mom that whole time. Yes, it's hard and
But
was hard.
But it's Christ that kept you guys together.
Yeah,
It really is. It's your foundation,
Yeah.
and that's what's kept Ali and Stephanie together. Is their foundation is built on Christ.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. We are
Mhm.
really religious, and honestly, there's obviously hard times in life,
Of course.
hard times in marriage, and sometimes there's like, you know what, at the end of the day, you just have this foundation, and you have the commitment that you made to God and
Mhm.
and each other, and you just stick with it with each other.
Okay, so when I first met you, you were still a housewife, which is a
Mhm.
full-time job,
Mhm.
right? And I remember Paris bringing him over so I could meet you, and he's like, "What if we put her in Nevada Hispanic Business Group? It's time for her to do a business. It's time for her to do something for herself."
Was he telling you that?
The kids are getting older. What can we do here? And so then you did start your business.
I did, and honestly, newsflash, Paris is going to push you to do things. I mean, so when we first got married, again, I was 20. We knew we wanted kids, but I was going to UNL. We were both going to UNLV, actually, getting our undergrads. And actually, the first thing I said, look, I want kids. I know you want kids, but I really want a college degree. School is very important. I love
Mhm.
school. And I always knew I wanted a college degree. And I said, I can't have kids before I have my degree, because I know that as a woman, if a woman has kids and they're going to college, it's a lot harder for them to go back and finish their degree compared to a man, right? I mean, physically, it's harder. Emotionally, it's harder.
It is difficult.
Yeah. And I know that statistically, like, it probably wouldn't have happened.
Mhm.
So, or if it did, it would have been years down the road. So he
Years.
was totally fine with that. But and again, kind of going back to, religion a little bit, I had some time left in school, and I just felt like, you got to start trying for a baby. And I'm like, if you do the math, it's not going to work out, God. And, but long story short, we ended up getting pregnant, and it took a little bit of time. And I actually had my daughter in March, beginning of March. And then I walked across the Thomas and Mack stage in May,
Mhm.
April or May. So she was 6 weeks old when I
graduated?
physically got my diploma.
Mhm.
So I did my internship my last semester. So I have my degree in healthcare administration, and I did my internship at Harmon Hospital, and I did it pregnant, and they let me start it a few months early, so I could be done at, I think, 36 or 37 weeks. I was done, and I was that far pregnant.
Wow.
And so it was the best, and to be able to have teachers and proctors that were willing to help me out in that
Mhm.
situation. And I always told my husband, like, I knew I wanted to work. I liked working, but I really wanted to be at home with my kids. And so I always told Paris, hey, when time goes, I now's not the time, but as I get a little bit older, when the kids are back, when all the kids are in school, I remember saying this, when all the kids are in school, I'd like to, work, and probably work for you. He has his own businesses, and there's always stuff to do for your businesses, right?
Mhm.
And lo and behold, my son is 2 or 3, and things just really went forward because COVID happened.
Right.
So COVID happened, a lot of things changed. And he was sitting at home the end of 2020. So things are slowly opening up again in Nevada. And so his other business is called Prime Cleaning. So he sees this thing on Instagram called Prime IV. And he's like,
Mhm.
what's this Prime that I'm seeing?
Mhm.
And he looks at it, and it's a franchise. And so I'm in healthcare administration. We've been in healthcare for a while. And so it definitely caught his eye. And he's like, we could do this together. I said, great. Go ahead. And I don't like to say no to him because he's going to do it anyway. Really, he's going to do it. And he knows his limits pretty well for the most part. And so I was like, oh, I can just be supportive of it. Well, the ball starts rolling, and then I'm starting to do a little bit more, even though my son's like 3 or 4 at this time. And so we opened this business, and he's doing his other stuff, but I kind of took over a little bit the Prime IVs a little sooner than I thought, because I was like, oh, I'm just going to do it when my kids are in school. But my little guy Jack was a little bit younger, so he came to me to a lot of meetings. He came with me to when we were meeting with contractors and all this stuff, and he was my little partner in crime, and it actually helped me in more cases than not, because people were it was also post-COVID, so people understood that you probably had your kids with you. So it was really helpful. But it was definitely, again, not what I planned. Happened a little sooner than I anticipated. I guess that's how everything happened for me in my life. It always happens sooner than I thought it was going to happen. But my husband was very, very encouraging, very, very much like, you can do this. This is what you know how to do it, and I couldn't have done it without that support, because it's hard. It's hard.
Oh, it's hard running a business.
It is. And people think, oh, it's a franchise. They're doing it all for you, which, yeah, they do a lot. This is our first franchise together. The other businesses that we've had were not franchise. They were just, our own thing. But, I mean, there's pros and cons to both things. And yeah, there's pros and cons to the franchise. But at the end of the day, it is hard. And you still have to be an entrepreneur. And my dad was an entrepreneur. My dad is an entrepreneur. You know my dad. And Paris, obviously, too. So, I mean, I understand what it brings. But, man, when you're doing it, you're like, wow, this is even more than I thought. Oh, yeah. And you really have to have a personality for it. And you really have to have a lot of drive and grit. I mean, what other verbs can I come up with? But it's definitely a different type of hard than I think most people realize, but it's definitely possible.
Yeah. And I think that you have to have a firm foundation on your why.
Yeah.
And once you have that firm foundation of why you're doing it, that why will keep you going, because there are going to be days where maybe the lights get shut off, right? You don't have money to pay bills that you thought, God, I didn't think I was going to be in this place. But if your why is strong enough, it will keep you going.
Yeah. Well, and there's times I remember days thinking, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I could just go back to being, a stay-at-home mom. Not that that's any easier, but it was something I knew, right? It was what I knew before this. And that was its own kind of hard. But I mean, it's just it's different when you have people working for you. It's different when you're signing your life away. And at the end of the day, they're going to come after you because you're the one that's putting your name on all those papers.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, it's definitely its own beast. But like I said, I kind of grew up with it. My dad was an entrepreneur, my husband doing it. And it's been quite a ride. So I'm glad I did it. But it's also one of those where Paris came up with let's do such and such. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm good right now. I think this is going to be my limit for the next little bit, but that's kind of where I'm at.
All right. Well, we're going to go to commercial. We'll be right back. I really want to hear stories of what is the advantages of doing franchise and what are maybe some disadvantages of doing franchise. Okay. So we'll be right back with Lisa.
Hi folks, this is Matt Jackson Jr. from Cybersecurity Awareness TV. I want to invite you and your family, your friends, and everyone to join us here on WWDB TV, where we have a plethora of shows and interesting information that you could use today. We'll see you then, folks. Have a good one.
Introducing CS Now Staffing, led by yours truly, Laura Nowlin. As the founder and president, I bring over 17 years of expertise in sourcing for talent, building winning teams of professionals, marketing, and workforce development. At CS Now Staffing, we're not just a staffing agency. We're your strategic partner in building a winning team of professionals for your business. My passion for community service extends to connecting entrepreneurs with local resources. Recognized by the Small Business Administration as the 2022 Nevada Family Owned Business of the Year, we're not just changing the workforce landscape, we're defining it. Welcome back to Business Matters with Laura Nowlin and CS Now Staffing. And here we have Lisa Bayardo. Lisa, once again, thank you so much for coming on our show. Now, you had said that you purchased a franchise.
Mhm.
So I'm curious of what are the ups and downs of buying a franchise? Because I've heard like different things, like what type of support system do they give you? What is a cost, more or less, a range for a franchise?
Man, that we could talk for a couple hours on
Yeah.
this. Not all franchises are created equal. I will say that. So
Mhm.
definitely. So I mean, I'll talk about mine. Prime IV Hydration and Wellness. So they are based out of Colorado Springs, Colorado. They started in 2019, 2020, and over time they started out as just doing IV hydration and vitamin injections, IM injections,
Mhm.
and now we're offering peptides, weight loss peptides. Now we're offering hormone replacement therapy. There's other things in the works that they're also offering, so that it's expanded over time. And I will say that I've done a couple conferences with them where like all the franchise owners go and we meet somewhere for, we just did it, I think a couple months ago. And there's a variety of owners there. There's
Mhm.
people that are in there because they were told this is going to be great, easy money. You can
Mhm.
just buy into this franchise, which I mean, depending on where you live is depending how much it's going to cost too. The rights to wherever you're going to have your store, I think usually most franchises have a set cost.
Okay.
But I mean, when you're trying to find your retail space and the
Mhm.
insurance that you're going to have to pay, and then the payroll, because a nurse in Las Vegas is not the same as a nurse in Colorado, right?
Mhm.
The hourly pay is different. And sometimes supplies are different. Like oxygen here in Vegas is not the same as how oxygen is probably going to cost in Texas. So you're going to have a lot of variables in that respect onto the cost. But I mean, at least a couple $100,000 to start out with.
Wow.
And I'll tell you that the franchise owners that really were trying to be passive and non-involved
Mhm.
are the ones that are struggling the most. With their stores. And
Okay.
so the franchise is great because they give you a lot of materials and hey, this is the pricing, this is,
Mhm.
these are the you can have contract pricing where when we get our additives, like these are the companies that you work with, these are the pharmacies, and since we're a big company, we get special pricing to get our vitamins and whatnot.
Right.
So I mean, it's nice when you're part of a big franchise and a big group.
Mhm.
There's a lot of power in that,
Yes.
with these contracts
Numbers.
here.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Whereas if you're a small mom and pop, you're going to pay like 20% more at least.
Right.
But having said that, also you're at the mercy of what the franchise approves. So if they don't want to go with, let's say, red light therapy, which I think fits in nicely with the hydration and wellness,
Mhm.
if they don't want to go forward with red light therapy, we can't really add that to our services, right? That's just an example. Same thing with, there's some times where they said, this is the approved artwork you could hang in your store.
Oh wow.
And-
And the color scheme, right?
Oh, and the color. Well, I like our color scheme, but sometimes there's like, this is the approved artwork, or this is the approved of, for your business cards. And sometimes I'm like, can we change it up a little bit? Can we change the social media, like post a little bit? So there's some things where maybe aesthetically I would love to have differently. But there's that I wish could be a little bit different. Again, if you have the mindset, especially of Paris and I, where we're always thinking forward of what can we bring on, it's harder to bring that when you're a nationwide franchise.
Right.
It's harder to just say, we're going to add this service here. The bigger you are, the harder it is to move a ship
Mhm.
a little bit.
Oh yes.
Yeah, you would know.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there's definitely pros and cons, but I would say if you're going to get into a franchising, I think it can be a great start for someone who wants to be an entrepreneur, who feels like they have that drive, maybe they feel like they're missing something and they want to do their own business. I think it could be a great start, but you got to do your due diligence. You really have to do your due diligence on the franchise. Ours has a great rating, one of the fastest growing franchises, top 500 and this and that. But I mean, there's some things about it where I'm like, they're maybe growing a little too fast for what I think they are. And you have people jumping in thinking that it's one way when it's really not, because
Mhm.
I know they're not asking the right questions when they're jumping in. And then that's why they're seeing really low numbers, or they're having a hard time with turnover because they don't know what it's like to find the right people. Because at the end of the day, the franchise, they're not going to hire the people for you. You have
Right.
to figure out like what are great hiring tactics, you know?
Mhm.
And honestly, I just feel like people are sometimes people, when they have money, they just feel like, well, I can just find this and it can just be easy passive. It's not as passive as you think. So I would say do your research with the franchise, try to reach out to other owners, go into those businesses, talk to them, talk to the employees, talk to
Mhm.
see what they see on their end, because a lot of times they have great things to say, on that level, what they think could be improved upon. Talk to other owners, see what they have to say. Don't just go into it blind. And if you know the industry, I think that's a lot too. We know healthcare,
Mhm.
and Nevada is a hard state to do healthcare in. And if I would have jumped into this not knowing healthcare, it would have been way bigger of
Harder.
a culture shock. Yeah, it is tricky, but we knew a lot of this going into it. And
Mhm.
there's other people in Vegas that didn't really know some of those going into it, and I think they had a little hard time adjusting to it. So you really, and at the end of the day, the franchise says, well, you just got to make sure this is how we do it. But hey, every state's different, so figure it out for your state. Because that's an easy cop out, and and it's true, because Nevada is not the same as South Dakota, which is not the
Right.
same as Texas or Wisconsin, and so I get why they have to say that. But at the end of the day, you got to know what is legal. You got to know what is required, and Nevada is pretty tricky when it comes to healthcare. So um, whatever franchise you want to jump into, I think you really need to know your market, and especially in the state that you're going into, because that could make a big determination on if you want to go forward with not, or maybe go to a different market, or go in a different state, or maybe franchising is not for you and you could just start your own. I mean, there's pros and cons to both of them for sure.
How many hours are you finding yourself actually working in the business where you're having to be there and working on it? Do you find yourself that you're doing a lot more or a lot less because it's franchise and they already gave you kind of like a skeleton of here's how you're going to do it?
Yeah, that's a good question. They do give you a good skeleton, which is nice.
Mhm.
But it kind of, so right now I'm definitely doing a lot more because I'm opening my second location, so my
Very
Centennial Hills
good.
location. And so when that's opening in the end of this month,
Mhm.
things are definitely picked up a little bit more, and my hours are definitely off because I'm doing stuff in the morning. I try to cram in everything when my kids are in school, and then once I pick up my kids every day, then you have a couple hours where you're chauffeuring them here and there to all their activities and home and helping homework and feeding them. And then after probably 5 or 6 o'clock, I go back and I'm doing more emails, and I'm
Mhm.
and I'm definitely jumping in more to wrapping things up that way. So it's definitely a full-time job. I mean, don't think that you're going to jump into a franchise and just work part-time. It's a full-time job, especially starting out. I mean, if you want to be successful, you're going to work more than 40 hours a week. You just have to accept the fact that if you want to really make a name for yourself, have your company be the best that it can be. I mean, you could easily do 60 hours a week. Um, but if there's other people, like I said, that have been more passive about it and they're putting in 30 hours a week, and those are the ones struggling. Those are the ones trying to piggyback off of me and what I've been doing, what I've been marketing. And
Mhm.
I mean, I'm coming here doing things like this and talking to you, and networking is a big one. And honestly, when you have people that understand how putting in quality work, because that's another thing. You want to work smarter, not harder.
Oh, definitely.
But
Yes.
you do have to work hard. You have to work
Mhm.
hard, but you have to be smart about it and being efficient. That's something that I've been working on, is my efficiency and putting time limits on myself.
Mhm.
Like, I have X amount of time to get these emails done. I have X amount of time to get these phone calls done, and knowing when to, I mean, I'm hiring right now, obviously. I'm hiring if you have a nurse, RN. I need RNs. And when I'm hiring, knowing, hey, this isn't going forward, I got to cut this interview, or I'm not looking for this person anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And CS No Staffing has been great. I will say that they've helped us with our receptionist and front desk. So it's just, you learn the shortcuts as you go on, like,
Yes.
okay. And then just by networking has been huge in getting your business name out there and your location out there, because as a franchise, you want them to come to you in your specific location. Yes, they can go to Henderson, other parts of town, which is good. You want them to have a good experience, but at the end of the day, you want them to come to your store.
Oh, definitely.
You want to get
Yes.
those funds.
Yeah. And so what type of service are you offering? Like what is your ideal client?
So our ideal demographic here is you have women aged 35 to 55, but I would say 70% are into that demographic, but we do have a lot of men that come in. If you're healthy, or if you want to achieve and maintain a healthy lifestyle, I mean, we're here for you. People
Mhm.
choose to come to us. We don't accept health insurance.
Mhm.
So we have people that, you know, they maybe go to their doctors and they say, you know what, I'm having such and such issues with my health right now. And, you know, they're trying to change their diet. They're trying to change their workout plan. They're trying to, you know, sleep better. And we're not a cure all for everything. We don't say we cure or treat or diagnose anything, but we're a big piece to the health puzzle for
Mhm.
you, because you know, you can't get everything, all your nutrition, all your vitamins in just the food you eat. And especially here in Vegas, it's a desert, it's hot.
Mhm.
I mean, you really need to stay hydrated. And honestly, just we help kids as young as in high school, like 16-year-olds. I have 16-year-olds when it's football season or basketball
Mhm.
season, they get a drip before they do their games.
Okay.
And they can do that. And we also have women. I have a woman that's 70 years old and she has rheumatoid arthritis, and her doctor recommended a couple additives that we have.
Mhm.
And she's been coming to us for a year and a half, and she says it's really helped her.
Oh,
And
good.
it's, I mean, we have a huge variety. We
Mhm.
have men that come in because they play hockey, you know, once or twice a week, and they're just beat up and they're exhausted, and they come in and recover, you know, and we can help their muscles recover. And we have zero gravity massage chairs that are just relaxing. If you're going in and out of town, when you go on an airplane, you're dehydrated. So we have people that travel a lot that like to come in and try to get the boost before they go out of town, or when they come back. And you know, when you're tired and you feel like you need a vacation from your vacation,
Oh, yes.
so they come in for drips like that as well. So it's definitely there's a variety of people that we serve. And again, if you want to achieve and maintain a healthy lifestyle, that's what we're here for. That's what we're here to help.
And how's your pricing model? Is it like membership driven? Is it, I don't know, you're picking like a la carte, you're picking here, you're picking there, what's best for you? And then also, do you assess?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So you do not have to be a member to come see us. We do offer memberships, which is great, and that's the most cost-effective way. But you don't have to be a member.
Mhm.
You we do sell it. It is a la carte, I guess you could say. We do have some set recipes, like we have the skinny drip, we have the glow, we have the immunity, we have the champion. But we make them all on site. We have our nurses that we call it compounding. So
Okay.
if you come in and you say, you know, I'm not feeling super great because what are we in September? Cold and flu season's coming up.
Mhm.
So if you come in and you're not feeling great, we have an immunity drip that, you know, has zinc, vitamin C, glutathione, all these other amazing vitamins to help you on your way. But if you say, you know what, you're reading our menu, actually, I would really love some taurine. That you said that's good for your brain health and that's good for energy. Let's add that in there. Absolutely, because we have those additives on site. Our nurses can add that to your bag, so we can customize it. And so we have this lady. She comes in and we have a Myers cocktail, and she calls it Charlene's Myers cocktail, because we tweak it a little bit just for her. We add a little bit extra of this for her, and we add in something else, and it's her Myers cocktail. And so every time she comes in, we go and we see exactly what the nurses did on the recipe for her, and that's what we give her. So we can definitely, it's customizable to you and to your health. And at the end of the day, you have people that just say, I don't care what it is, just give it to me. Great. We can give you the skinny drip if that's what you want to help with your metabolism and energy levels. But we can make it as personal as you would like. And we have nurses there that are the ones making the drips. They're the ones doing the IVs. And yes, you do have to have a medical clearance by a doctor or nurse practitioner. So you get that clearance done first, and then you're good for a whole year. If there's any other health issues that arise before that year is up, we always can reach out back to the doctor and nurse practitioner to update if you have any more questions about things. But our nurses are great, and we do these vitamins on such a therapeutic level. And they're vitamins. They're not these hard drugs that really are on a time delayed release system here. So to be able to give you, like, you know, your B12, your vitamin D, we have these protocols set on what's inappropriate and how long to put them in between what you can get.
Great. And so what is the location again, right? Both of the locations, and then also a phone number that they can call.
So my main store is on Summerlin, which is on Town Center and 215. So it's on Discovery Drive, which is again, South Summerlin Town Center in 215. And I'm opening my second location in Centennial Hills. So I'm super excited. Grand opening is September 26th at 11 a.m. That will be on 5785 West Centennial Center Boulevard. And that's like the Anna 95 area. So those are my two locations of Prime IV. And I'm super excited that that one's finally opening.
Yeah,
It's closer to my
congrats.
house, and it's going to be a little bit bigger than the one in Summerlin, but people love our Summerlin location too. Both easy access right off of the freeway. So
No, congratulations.
Yes.
And a phone number where they can call?
yes, call our store 702-640-0453. That's to our Summerlin location. And if you live in Centennial area, we can definitely help you out with that Centennial location when we open in a couple short weeks. But we hope to see you at both those places.
No. So thank you very much, Lisa, for coming on our show.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for tuning in. Remember, you can catch us a new episode every Friday at 3 p.m. at CS Now Staffing YouTube channel or WWDB TV, Roku as well. Thank you and God bless.